Hello, everyone. It is Robin, and it's Friday afternoon, and I felt like teaching a little bit on today, so I am sharing Let's Go Back to Church, talking about reentry. Has your church gone back? Have they invited people to start coming back in? Well, mine has, and I'm honored to share that I'm actually the reentry coordinator for my church. So I'm going to share today some of the strategies that we use to bring our first group back to church. So, of course, let's see, let me get my Instagram folks going. But those of you watching me over here on Facebook, I will be back right after my intro to start talking about how to re enter church. Alrighty, I'm back. So again, as I shared, I'm the reentry coordinator for my church. I put together a whole manual, in fact, probably about 6, 7 months ago when we thought we were going to re-enter in the summer. But as you know, the numbers went back up, so we did not go back in the summer. But we have now gone back in. So we started with our first group of 50, and let me tell you, I was be very honest. I was hesitant. I wasn't sure, but once I thought about the whole, should we re-enter church? I thought about I go to the grocery store and I don't worry about it. I go to the mall and I don't worry about it. I will really go to restaurants and I don't worry about it. And the reason why I don't worry about it is because of the precautions I feel that those places have in place. And so we as a church, we have to do the same thing to make people feel comfortable. And of course, those businesses have done a lot to let us know everything that they've done, all the precautions they put in place. I went and got my nails done this week. I've only done that one other time since the pandemic, but I felt really comfortable doing it because I've got expectations as it relates to when I go to get my nails done. So I thought I'll just, chill out, right? And trust God. So as long as we have precautions in place, I feel like that it's safe for us to go back. And one of the first precautions is that we limited the number. So I'm going to go through all the steps that I've, put in place for the ministry. But before we start, I'm going to teach about hospitality from my book, While You're Guest. Those of you on Facebook, you see it there behind me, but I've got it right here in front of me as well because, y'all, we've been out of church for a minute. So I think it's really, really, really important that we, do some refreshers as it relates to our greeters, our hospitality teams, all of our first impression ministry workers, as a matter of fact. So here we go. Let's get started. Number one, I kind of already alluded to it, but review your hospitality protocols with your leaders. Remind them what's expected. How do you expect them to greet people, welcome people? It is their job to make sure that people are excited about coming back to church. One of the things when I go to the grocery store, as soon as I walk in and I get a cart, I'm looking for someone to be standing there with, a sanitizer and a rag cleaning off all of the baskets. And if I don't see that, I don't touch the basket. I will get in my purse and I'll get my own wipes out and I'll clean the basket. But when we're in church, we have an expectation that, or the people attending, they have an expectation that we prepared for their arrival. So review your hospitality protocols with your greeters, your ushers, all of those that are going to make that first impression so that they know what's expected. Again, if you're following me over on uh, Facebook on the Ware Agency, you get to see my slide. So, number two is, or the second part of this is prepare for visitors. So, what do I mean by that? That means go through and take time and make sure the restrooms are clean and they smell really good. And as a matter of fact, let me just go ahead. I'm going to read from my book. I have a whole checklist in here as to how you can prepare for visitors. So I'm going to read this checklist from my book. You can see my book's rather worn. I've been using it a lot. And I hope you got your copy. If you don't, you've got to order it. You can get it from thewareagency.com. But here on page 28, I am teaching you my checklist to prepare for visitors. Number one is prepare fresh or place fresh flowers and beautiful decor in your restroom. So maybe you can't do fresh flowers. I hope you can, particularly if it's your first time opening. You want to make sure that your restrooms have a beautiful smell or scent. But you can get a nice silk arrangement. I've got one you can see behind me here. But you need nice decor. Look at me, even with my backdrop here, I've got nice decor so that you know I was expecting you and I wanted you to have part of the experience you're having hanging out with me is visual. So I wanted you to see nice things behind me. So number one, place fresh flowers and beautiful decor in restaurants. It's just a really nice touch. Number two is you can offer small bottles of water as people enter because we know we're not using our water fountains. Number three, offer mints as people go into the sanctuary. Now, of course, we want this to be contactless, so you might want to put together a little goodie bag that people can pick up on their own, and it's got a mint, it's got a program. We're probably not doing offering envelopes, but if you are, put it in that little goodie bag so that the person, as they arrive, they can get their little goodie bag and enter in the sanctuary. Number four is have a place for them to place their coats. So whether you have coat racks or you have a coat room, that is a nice touch to prepare for people coming back to service. Number five, give them sermon notes. I absolutely love this. I'm looking forward to even doing this at my church. And that is on your website, list the sermon notes. Now, if your pastor doesn't give you the points before the sermon, then you can go and put them up after the sermon. All right. Number six is make sure that you've got a plan for the kids. So if you've got a child care area, make sure it's clean. Make sure you've got decor. Make sure that you've got treats and goodie bags so that the parents know you were prepared for their kids. Number seven is provide great signage. As a matter of fact, I'm going to show you this. These are stickers that I ordered that say, please sit here. These are the actual stickers that I placed as a part of our um, spacing guidelines. I put those stickers out. I'll show them again. I put these stickers out. It's just a roll of stickers that I put out that say, please sit here and keep social distance so that our members know, again, our visitors, members, guests, that we prepared for them and we made sure that they were going to feel safe and comfortable. So place those out, have proper signage. Make sure maybe you want foot signage or you want signage on the floor or you've got signage on the wall. I actually had some 11 by 17 posters made that talk about all the safety and precaution practices that our ministry follows so that people can see that upon entry. They can see it on the walls if they go to the restroom, as well as when they enter the sanctuary. Number eight is please make sure that all of your lights are working properly. That's just nice, right? You want to make sure that people feel like you were prepared for them. Don't let people come in and you don't have all the bulbs properly working. Now, we've, of course, not been in church a lot. So you may have, a team that's been in there working, so you can, maybe get away with having some bulbs out. But if we're going to invite people back to church, it's really important that you do an assessment. You walk through the building and make sure you replace all of your lights, or make sure all your lights are working. Number 9 is utilize air freshener or candles. Let me show you this one. This is one of my favorites. I get it from Bath and Body Works, but this is called Frosted Cranberry. I love, love, love this. Light these candles in your restroom or at your welcome station. That's why when you go into certain stores, they have certain scents. I am a hotel girl, and so anytime you go into the Westin, you have a certain scent that they spray, and you're at the Westin. I've even brought it home before as well. So as seasons change, you can change out the scent of the candle that you're going to use, but you just want to create an atmosphere of welcome. I'm telling you, this is going to really let your members know that you're excited about them coming back. Number 10, even play music in the lobby area. I'm sharing from my book, page 30, ways to prepare for people to come back to receive visitors and guests. But play music in the lobby area. You just want to create that whole atmosphere of welcome. Number 11 is to play video promos uh, on a loop. So one of the things that we did as far as reopening church, we only allowed 50 people. Now, my church sanctuary seats 3,000. So we're very, very comfortable in having 50. So you have to set the number for what's realistic for the size of your sanctuary. But in preparing for the 50, we still allowed people to enter a certain way, to exit a certain way, to sit in certain sections. So during that downtime, you can play a video on loop that explains, hey, this is Elder Robin. We are so excited that you are back worshiping with us. We just want to let you know that these are the new protocols that we have in place. We are just allowing 10 in at a time. Play that video on loop so that they'll know what's going on. Number 12, as you are receiving people that want to join the ministry, have a way for them to do that virtually. You may not be ready to start having people walk up to the altar and join church and then taking them to another room, but you can still do it virtually. So have a system in place to do that. Maybe I'll do a video that kind of talks about that as well. So again, I was reading from my book, Wow Your Guests, just talking about ways that you can prepare for them to come back. And then the third part of that is to practice the 10-10-10 rule. And if you've ever been in a session with me, you know what the 10-10-10 rule is. Again, that's in my book. And I teach you as a part of the 10-10-10 rule that 10 minutes before service, you should find 10 people that you greet, and then 10 people that you greet upon the conclusion of service. So 10-10-10. All right. So of course we know being in being virtual, we have to be creative with that, but we can do it in the comments. So identify 10 people that you can welcome and click and put emojis in the comments. But for those that are there live with you, of course, you got to walk them through that. You got to just, nod your head or wave to people. We're not actually going and embracing people with hugs, but find 10 people. Hey, if you're standing there in the lobby and you're waiting for your turn to go in and be seated, then you can greet people. So make it intentional. That could also be a part of that video that you have on loop. So now let me get into some of the things that I did to help make sure my church was ready for reentry. All right. So here we go. Again, you're welcome to check me out on YouTube as well as the Ware agency so that you can see my slide. So the first thing was decide what groups you want to come back to church first. What do I mean by that? Well, if you're going to have 50 people come back, 10 people come back, whatever your magic number is to start with, you want to decide how are we going to choose which group. So I suggest that you start with your leaders. Maybe you start with your ministers, your elders, your deacons, whatever group it is that you want to start with. But start with a group that you know you will receive the least amount of resistance from as it relates to the changes that you've implemented. Some people are still going to be in the mindset of, I want to sit where I always sit. Well, if you start with this group, they will be more accommodating of your new rules. You're going to want to tell them that they have to wear masks the entire time. This group will go along with that. They're not going to resist because they're leaders. So they understand what it is you are asking them to do. All right, so decide what groups you want to go back first. So there we go. The second thing is to map out your security questions. What questions do you need to know from them? Do you have a waiver you need them to print out and sign? Or do you want to just do it through the system, allowing technology to do it by adding radio buttons? Have you, been around anyone that has tested positive with COVID? If you use a system like Google Forms or Jot Form, whatever, literally you can add the little radio buttons that say yes or no and allow them just to fill it out versus them having to download a PDF document, fill it out, and then upload it back to your system. So just kind of decide, how do you want to handle that? But you've got to have security questions. Have you or do you understand that you're going to have to wear a mask? Do you understand that we're socially distancing and you agree to abide by those rules? Have you are you dealing with a cough, a cold? Have you had a fever in the last 48 hours? So figure out whatever those questions are and put them in your system. And then number 3 is create an RSVP system. That's exactly what I did. I think we had all of 5 questions after we got their name, their email, and their phone number. Let me just say this. I got their phone number so that if anything were to change, I could send them a text message at the last minute, because you can't trust that people are always going to be ready or have their email accessible, but they'll check their phone. So I ask everyone that registered for service for their name, their email, and their phone. Then I put in the form, the RSVP system, what dates they could choose to come to service. And then I did my security questions. And as long as they filled those out, and they were, all yeses, or, whatever the answers we needed them to be, then we invited them to come and worship. All right. So made it very, very simple. I think that a lot of us are overthinking the precautions as it relates to church. Again, we go to the grocery store, we go to the mall. I was one of them. When my pastor first said, I'm ready to go back, I was kind of like, but as I thought about it, I am taking precautions. I wear a mask everywhere I go. I'm doing double mask now. Sometimes I wear gloves. If I think I'm somewhere that I don't think they're taking the precautions that I think should be taken, then I don't go in. So we have to allow people to make those choices and decisions for themselves. However, those of us that are on the leadership side, we have to be the ones to implement those precautions. So communicate the precautions, let people see you doing what it is you say you're going to be doing. Again, back to my grocery store scenario. When I go to Sam's, if I don't see somebody standing there with sanitizer and a towel, my red flags go up. So I'm either going to clean that cart myself, or I'm waiting to see who's coming out to do it. But either way, I make sure that they're doing what they say they're going to do, and we need to do the same thing as well. All right, let's keep going. Um, there we go. I want you, number 4, is to figure out how you're going to communicate that you are open. Is it through email? Is it through texting? Is it through your social media outlets? Whatever that process is, decide it up front. Now, if you're only going to invite, a smaller number, and maybe you've got a way to communicate with them specifically. All right. So, regardless of how that is, communicate with them to let them know, um, you know, you can come to service. You can, hold on one second. Okay. Sorry about that. You can come to service. These are the times. This is how many you can bring with you, whatever it is. Number 5, tell them what to expect. Park in this particular area. When you get to the door, you're going to have your temperature check. We're going to check off your name, and then we're going to seat you in groups of 10. And then when service is over, we're going to release you, blah, 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 blah. Whatever that process is, that's what you need to communicate. And then also let them know, if you're only allowing a small number, if you've got seats available at the last minute, how are you going to communicate that? All right. And then number 5, tell them what to expect. I kind of just went through that, what door to enter, where to park, and then what's going to happen once they get there. Number 6 is review your seating guidelines. Let them know, you may not be able to sit where you used to sit when we were open with everyone present. So, due to the guidelines and the precautions we're taking, we have limited seating. All right. Again, I have these stickers, so I made it really, really simple for those that came to the service, that you can only sit where these stickers are. All right, let's keep going. I'm almost done. I want you to, number 7 is, remind them to worship. Let them know they don't need to be nervous, that you've taken precautions, that you are, looking forward to having them there, that their presence has been missed. And so we want them to clap. We want them to stand. If you want them to stay in their seats or their section, keep their mask on, share that as well. But let them know that they are a very important part. Their presence is a very important part of worship. All right. And then number 8 is remind them no touching. Yep. Tell them to, nod their head, put their hands over their chest and nod to, show love or just to wave. But we're not fist bumping, we're not elbow bumping, none of that. That we are just you may allow the fist bumping, but we don't. So whatever your precautions are, but let them know that. And then number 9, establish a dismissal protocol. So what I did at my church, when service was over, I asked everyone to remain in their seats, and then I released them section by section and row by row, so that they would know this first section, we want the 2 back rows always empty out from the back, so that way people in the front aren't crossing over them. Let the people out from the back, and so that way nobody, I said that wrong, empty out from the rear. I said that part right, but the reason why you do that is so that people don't have to walk by each other. Okay, so start from the back, do those rows, and then the middle section, those rows, and then the front, do those rows. So simple as that. So I hope that your ministry is getting ready to re-enter. It's so important that um, uh, that we understand that we don't operate in fear, that we take precautions, we walk in wisdom, we trust God. But as long as safety precautions are being taken, that it's safe to go back into church. Kids are in school, people are in the grocery store, people are going to the mall. So it is time for us to come back together and worship. So as I shared these um, tips about hospitality from my book, While Your Guests. If you'd like to get a copy, of course, you can make your way over to my website. I put that on the screen for you, thewareagency.com. I got some great, great, great stuff in here. I'll be sharing more on some other videos as well. But Thank you guys. Thank you for hanging out with me. I love you, love you, love you. God bless.